What's going on, everybody? Payneblade back here again from Server 1 representing ISC. Guys, welcome back to the third edition of Which You Are Should You Awaken. Now, a lot of you might be asking, Payne, why are we doing these so often now? Well, because the landscape of this game constantly is changing. As with any gacha, new characters come out, older characters become a little less valuable, so to say. But it doesn't mean, guys, if you did the first and the second, that you did not get the full value of those characters at that time. But like I said, the landscape has slightly changed, and we're going to talk about which URs you should be focusing on now versus the ones you may have focused on in the past. Now, as you can see my cover, guys, I kind of wanted to give an homage to the Uzumaki clan, the Namikaze clan, of course, the Naruto parent and child's relationship here. I started thinking about what the hell am I going to do the background for you guys, and this is what I came up with. So that's what you get to look at right now. But let's talk about the characters that you should be focusing on going forward. As you guys know, with the release of a ton of characters since the last time I did this, we have quite a batch of new units that bring a lot more utility. Before, it was a lot about damage, and it's still going to maintain to be about damage. But this time we've got a couple other characters and different types in the forefront. Okay, so let's talk about the timeless pieces as usual. So without even going through it, you know already Sai is your main focus. That does not change, guys. Sai is #1 focus for any unit. Now, a lot of new players have been asking me, Payne, why Sai? What makes the punk rock, J-pop looking character so damn good? Well, #1, he is the only character in the game that does this specific thing, okay? Now, this is something that will make and break the game for you when you have it. So Sai, if you look at it, is connected by a picture book, and this is only available for his Limit Break 2 when you hit 6 stars and you get his Limit Break 2. Okay, this is the only character that does this, and it's so OP that it's your #1 focus every time. And that is, he gives chakra to all allies at the start of any turn. Okay, which means even if he's not in the rotation, as long as he is alive, every character on your team will get chakra every round, which makes him insanely broken. He's the only character, guys, that does this. Now, there is a new chakra user that's going to be on the mix, but Sai, guys, whatever list I make going in forward or in the past, Sai will always be the #1 focus for everybody. All right, so let's get that out of the way because I don't want to focus too much on that. Now I'm going to talk about the timeless pieces. Now, the timeless pieces, guys, are very straightforward. There are specifically 2 that you always want to focus on for damage. All right, and the first one being Path of Revenge Sasuke Uchiha Hebi. Okay, that is the original OG UR Hebi. That's what we call him, OG Hebi. What makes him so damn deadly? Let's talk about that. All right, so if you're new, if you're an OG, you know this already. You probably already have him a 4-star, so I mean, disregard this. But for those who are new, the reason why Hebi is so powerful still to date as one of the only first URs to ever come out is couple things. Okay, so first, Chidori Sharp Spear does a few different things that bring so much value to the table. #1, he boosts his own critical damage by a ton before he does his move, so that makes you crit a lot higher. At one point you're going to get to 100%, and it's always going to be a crit. He also does a paralyze at 35%, which of course is essentially a stun. We generalize it as a stun. And then he also does more damage to tactical units. He's already got an advantage being an A, but he adds an additional 34.9% on top of that. So that makes this OP as heck for an OG character. On top of that, he's the only character in the game that actually has a secondary stun built in. He has a skill 2 that actually does more damage when you do it, but also has a 30% chance to paralyze the character. So paralyzes don't stack, but you have double the chance to get that done, which for a lot of tactics, guys, is extremely valuable. So that's another reason why. Secondly, of course, thirdly, he's got the attack boost. And then fourth, the thing that kind of puts him over the edge for damage is his Limit Break 2. Now, originally what his original one was every time an ally died, he'd increase his own chakra and he'd increase his own attack, and it lasts for the rest of the battle. So the attack would stack every single time a character died in a different turn. Key is in a different turn. So, I mean, if 2 characters die in one turn, he only gets his buff once, all right? Keep that in mind. But every turn a character dies, he gets an attack buff. Now, what puts him over the edge on the damage scale, guys, is the fact that his Limit Break 2 boosts his damage increase rate, DIR, which is a better overall stat for the most part, by 5.98% if the user's active at the start of the turn, and that stacks. So what that means is every time he's in rotation, guys, he gets that damage increase rate every turn. So if it's a long battle, Hebi starts hitting insane amount of damage. So that, guys, alone puts this character at the top of the list with one other timeless piece, and that is none other than my boy, my favorite character, and that is Kakashi. Now, my favorite character, I mean in the anime, not in the game, but he still deserves to be on top of the tier list. There's a couple things about him that makes him OP. Oh, I should also cover, with Hebi, he also has the vitality of 5k. For a lot of new players, what that means is if you fill up the first chakra here, he starts off at half a bar. Now with Sai, if he's in the second turn, that puts him at with Sai, that puts him on the third turn. Oh, sorry, if he's on the second turn, that gives him full Jitsu. Okay, so he becomes an instant Jitsu character after the second turn if you have Sai at around level 74 and a skill at 74 or so. Okay, so keep that in mind. That is very important. Those characters with 5k are excellent at damage dealing and usually are preferred because of what Sai brings to the table. All right, let's talk about Kakashi. All right, so first thing, we're going to talk about this right away. He is the only one of two characters that provides you initial chakra at 10k. That is a maximum bar for chakra. So what that means, guys, is if you fill this up, the moment Kakashi has a turn, if it's first turn, second turn, third turn, it doesn't matter, he instantly does his Jitsu. Now let's talk about what makes this character so deadly. Lightning Blade. All right, so first off, same thing as Hebi, he has a chance to stun, but he does not get a crit buff right away. What instead he does is if you're attacking first, which means if you're faster than your opponent in your cell or whatever cell he's in, he deals 30% more damage to that target, and when his HP is above 50%, he deals an additional 23.92. So there's actually a bonus there. He doesn't actually have a specific type that he does more damage to. He does more damage to any type as long as he has these prerequisites done. All right, so that's number one. Number two, this is actually kind of useless. Increases his own speed by 20% for the 20 for the rest of the battle. This will stack, but you're never going to do this more than once. If you even if you do it once, it'd be surprising. After the first Jitsu, you're most likely just going to go third turn and probably pull off another Jitsu again. Of course, attack boost L. Now here's what makes him just as broken as Hebi, maybe a little more. AKA the Copy Ninja essentially does, boosting his own crit by 44.7% at the start of any turn after user activates a special ninjutsu or a tribe special, and that lasts for the rest of the battle. So every time he does a special ninjutsu or a tribe special, he gets 44.7% crit rate. It's stupid high, and it's a wild thing. And he boosts his own critical damage increase rate by 7% if the user is active at the start of the turn, exactly like Hebi's, different stat. Right? Hebi's is damage increase rate, Kakashi's is critical damage increase rate, which is a better stat overall. So this makes him extremely deadly, guys. Probably better, a little bit over the edge on Hebi in short battles. I think Hebi has a little bit more of a advantage in a longer battle. So those two guys are considered the timeless pieces. Now let's talk about what characters now are in the forefront as new characters. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the brand new two characters that have come out, and that is going to be Sasuke, Kid Sasuke, and Naruto. Okay, so the new Kid Naruto. Now what makes Sasuke so good, guys, is the fact that he has a built-in stun, he has a chance to burn, which is another status effect, and he increases his own chakra every single time he does a Jitsu, and he boosts allies attack for 3 turns by 16%. That is obscene. So this character should be your number one focus on getting a 4-star. Also, you're not that fast. His second skill boosts own attack by 8.96% for the user, as well as the 3-man cell that he is in, and that lasts and that will stack. So that's additional attack advantage right there. And then lastly, natural born talent, which boosts all active allies damage increase rate as long as he's in rotation with those characters, and furthermore increases all active allies chakra. Right, not like Sai, but he's in the same rotation as those characters. He will give chakra, which opens up a lot of doors to different tactics. As you've seen in the showcase video, he makes CM2 do first turn Jitsu, essentially becoming a Kakashi. So this character here, guys, is freaking OP. That should be, my opinion, your number one goal. He also gets the typical Uchiha trait, increases his own chakra and boosts attack at the start of the turn after an ally has died for his limit break too. So overall, guys, this man right here, my opinion, should be your number one focus as your new character. Okay, 4-star. Next one is going to be this guy here. Where is he? There he is, right there. So the new Naruto, if you haven't used him and are not using him, you should be using him. He is so good. So the Naruto Uzumaki Barrage, so it does the power creep damage, does more damage on attack shinobi's by quite a bit. So he's a nuke also to A units, which is pivotal because he's already got the advantage there. And he increases all allies damage rate by 20.94% and guard rate by 28.92% for 3 turns. Guys, that is insane. That is insane. And I'm telling you this not just for PvP purposes. These characters are going to be vital for PvE going forward, almost for all content. Naruto a little less on the flashback genealogy side, but still, if you're fighting an A unit, he's going to be pivotal to taking those A units out, all right? We Can't Lose, I Tell Ya is also really, really good. Increases further damage reduction rate by 13.94% for 2 turns, so really good there. Not for rest of the battle, unfortunately, but it is all allies versus 3-man cell like Sasuke. So it has a wider range of people it affects. And the Guts to Never Give Up, of course, boosts all active allies damage reduction rate further. So active allies, again, guys, being those in rotation with him. Boost damage reduction for the 3-man cell, so additional 3-man cell. That's already 50% right there. And then boost guard rate by 25.92% for the 3-man cell, and guard damage reduction rate for 16.96. Guys, uncanny power for this character. Like, just ridiculous amount of utility and use. Naruto definitely deserves to get the 4-star treatment, and he'll do so much for you guys in almost every bit of content that you can possibly use him in. So Naruto right there is a given. All right, Six Tails is my next suggestion. So it used to be Deidara Sublime. Now Six Tails is kind of taken over. The Tail Beast Bomb, of course, does obscene amount of damage, lowering damage reduction rate. It does hit all allies, or sorry, all opponents. He boosts own damage increase rate even further in battle for the rest of the battle, so that'll stack. So the more you use him, the harder he's going to hit. And then Grar here is boosting his own crit rate for the rest of the battle by 15%, which is nutty again. And then of course his LB2 and his regular trait boosts his own attack by 5%, boosts his own damage increase rate by 2.48% each passing turn. So that means every turn that goes on, even if he's not in it, he's collecting this stat. And it stacks, guys, every turn for the rest of the battle. And if you get his LB2, he does additional damage reduction rate for 2.98% for the rest of the battle. And that's each passing turn, and that stacks. So that makes him survive even more. So that gives him utility of damage as well as survivability, making Six Tails the new AoE king in the game besides Rinne. Okay, so Rinne Naruto is a given there. All right, so next one up, Minato. Yes, there has been a lot of hate for this character when he came out, but man, oh man, is he becoming pivotal for a lot of content. So skills. First off, he lowers damage reduction rate for that turn only, okay, and then deals damage. He deals additional damage when he's attacking first, just like we talked about Kakashi when he's attacking when you're faster than your opponent, and he boosts own damage reduction or damage increase rate by 11.96% for the rest of the battle. Just like Six Tails, the more he does his Jitsu, the stronger he becomes. The difference is he's got the 5k vitality, so he's going to do Jitsus more often than Six Tails, which has a whole different vitality altogether. I Can't Fail, boosting all allies damage increase rate by 4.48%. Sounds minuscule, but it does stack, and it will do quite a bit. But chances are you won't be doing this because you're doing Jitsu almost non-stop. All right, and then Natural Talent, and I'm missing his LB2, which is the worst because it's huge, and I'll explain it. But this here, he increases the attack by 22.84% for all users and the 3-man cell for the rest of the battle just by being in it. So instantly you're hitting harder. But his Limit Break 2 is what really pushes it over the edge, guys. He also boosts the damage increase rate for that same cell, making your tribe BBR Bonds by Rasen hit insanely hard. As you can see here, I've spent like 30k stamina and I've gotten 5 extra or 6 extra since this his birthday, since we got the 10 weapon fragments. So this is huge because his damage increase rate, I believe, is in the 20 percentile as well, making him extremely deadly and also one of the hardest hitting characters in the game for a T unit especially. So Minato definitely deserves to get that treatment. All right, now we're going to talk about the best A unit for damage. Okay, so this is going to actually go to Obito. He was on the list before, but I never actually shined on a little bit of light on him. Now I'm going to talk about him. Firestyle, Fireball, Jitsu. So first off, this character is just one of the most OP characters in the game right now. It has been since he came out. Does power creep numbers, 50% chance to burn, deals 27.94% extra damage when his own HP is at 50% or higher, lowers damage increase rate by 26.96% to the opponent, so they hit less. This is what gets it going though. Lowers target damage reduction rate by 38.92%, guys. That means you're going to be hitting for the next 3 turns this opponent so much harder with every character, including himself. And 3 turns is pretty much a full rotation. Plus, guys, he's got the 5k initial chakra, making his Jitsu second turn Jitsu with Sai, which again is incredible for a lot of these characters, right? Protecting my comrades, you probably will never use this, but who knows? If you don't have Sai, it may proc for you. Boost own attack by 8.96%, boost own critical rate by 9.96%, guys. Extremely powerful. Buffs on himself, and then of course the attack boost, and then lastly he's got the Uchiha LB2 trait, increases his own chakra at the when an ally dies, and increases his own attack when an ally dies. But But for the actual trait itself, he boosts all active allies attack by 22.84% for that turn, making anyone in rotation get that much more attack, right? So hardest hitting A unit in the game easily, guys. So if you have him, build him up. Now, before we talked about Itachi, we talked about, who else did we talk about? We talked about Sublime, Sasori. So those characters, guys, are still valid. If you have them and you've built them up, congratulations, you've done the right thing. Those characters are still extremely good. The new B you can kind of hold off on. Kisame you can a little bit hold off on. Another honorable mention you may want to do is the new Mitsuki. Mitsuki is actually extremely good, especially with his LB2. So 4-starring him is not a bad choice either, guys. So let's talk about him. Path Lit by the Full Moon. Boosts on crit rate again, just like Heavy does. Does the power creep numbers that has a chance to stun, and he also lowers all damage increase rate for enemies and crit rate. And remember, this will stack and it goes for 2 turns, so if you can do it over and over again, it'll continue stacking, or it'll replace itself again and again and again. So these are very powerful debuffs, guys. So very, very good. Who am I? He has the lower, he again furthermore lowers the damage reduction rate, or damage increase rate, sorry, for opponents for the rest of the battle there. He has the 5k vitality, of course, so chances are you'll be doing the Path Lit by the Full Moon a lot more often. And then Will to Choose here, he lowers all active enemies damage increase rate by 14.55% just by being there in rotation. Boosts all active allies damage increase rate by 13.82, so they hit less, you hit more. And then he boosts all active allies damage reduction rate by 25.64%, making you take a lot more damage and survive more. So Mitsuki is a very, very good character, guys, and worth definitely the upgrade to 4 stars. If you have him, chances are you will end up using him. Alright, so those are the URs, guys, that I recommend. Mei also is really good since she's come out. I've kind of held off on her to let someone else get the frame, but the only thing with her is you don't necessarily need to get her LB2 to make her pivotal for a damage perspective. But I will say this, if you do get her to 4 stars in places like Abyss, she's gonna bring so much utility for you, because her trait lowers all enemies special ninjutsu and tribe special for 3 turns, and this is huge for PvP as well too, guys, so keep that in mind. She boosts all active allies crit rate and guard rate at the start of any turn, boosts all active allies crit suppression and guard damage rate with her LB2, and the percentages are very high. So honestly to God, like, Mei's Jitsu is her key. That's what really gets her going, because of her crit rate, status effect rate, and guard damage rate. And her, this is just the icing on top, right? So, sorry, the cherry on top, I should say. So honestly, let's put Mei on that list as well too. So if you have her, get her to 4 stars. She is definitely worth it. She's pretty much replaced Itachi for me for usability, for PvE purposes. PvP, I still use Itachi just because how high he is in power, but eventually she will completely replace him because she's definitely worth it. So there you guys go. That is my list, guys, of the characters I recommend getting to 4 star. Keeping in mind, the second banner for the anniversary is coming up. Obviously, we don't know who they are. They may be better, they may be worse, but for the time being, that is the list. My suggestion, do not upgrade. Disclaimer, do not upgrade until the anniversary is over and we know the full extent of what is coming out. Alright guys, this is Payne. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We will talk soon, people.